And when someone who's important to this industry passes away, we try and give some appropriate context to who they are, why they're important, and celebrate their life just a little bit. This past week we lost Butch Guice, and it was so sad. He was very young. He was only 63 years old, and he had gotten ill recently and passed. I'm going to give Mike a minute to be able to talk to him, but before that, we're just going to play a little tribute here and take a minute to look at some of the things he did.
Well, that's a nice little tribute, and I have a very emotional response to it. You picked some beautiful stuff, but you could have skipped over all of that and found more beautiful stuff anywhere you looked. Butch was an amazing artist. I worked with him on The Flash. Kind of around on some other stuff, but mostly on The Flash. And ever since then, because The Flash was like 1987, 86, 87, we obviously would run into each other at conventions. I think Baltimore a lot. And I point to my partner, Mr. Bob, here because he is Baltimore. And was always just the nicest guy in the world. Now, that's not easy to do in the middle of a convention because guys like me are crashing. We're not even crashing the line. We just walk by and our friends will say, "Hey, how you doing?" And, I would wind up apologizing to the people in line who were waiting to see the guy, but we try to give them a conversation that's worth their while. If they have to spend another 2 or 3 minutes standing around because I happen to walk by, damn it, we're going to give them a little bit of a show, a 3-minute show. And Butch was always there for it, always on target, not obscene. Chris Burnham does a much better job of ad-libbing as long as, you don't have a problem with language. I don't, but it's a public thing, and some people do. These are the people that keep 4-letter words 4 letters. They empower them. But Butch didn't have to worry about that. We had a great time, throw around a bunch of jokes, tell a couple of stories, once or twice, maybe 3 times during each convention. And I'm going to miss him. I mean, I'm doing fewer conventions now, but so the few people that I would run into at those conventions regularly are people that I really miss. And this whole thing, I mean, obviously, it saddened the hell out of me. And it saddened the hell out of the whole comics community because Butch was such a good guy. Great artist. Funny guy, but a real human being. And damn, I miss him.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I met him. Um, he hasn't been to Baltimore in a few years. Since I remember, since I've been involved in organizing with Baltimore, he hasn't been there. He may have been there one of the first couple of years that I went, and that was a bit of a, overwhelming for me in terms of who I was, interacting with.
Yeah,
But
that's the purpose of a good
he
show.
is he is a he, he possibly had a key to a story that I may never get answered. There's a legend that runs around in comics. One of my white whales that he might have had a key to, and I don't know if I'll ever get the answer to that, and I'll keep that for another time. But you know, a lot of our friends, are sharing their experiences and their loss. And my recollections of him as an artist and a creator is he was just such a fantastic storyteller. And the thing about his art is that it portrayed a depth of emotion, that it was always there. It was very, you could feel it. And I was thinking earlier, there was something about his characters, and it's a weird thing to say, but it was something maturely sexy about his characters. It wasn't ostentatiously, sensuous, but there was just something attractive about the characters that he did in a not in a not necessarily a sexual way, but like I don't know if I'm being able to convey that, but
Well, there's a quiet emotion to
Mhm.
his, and I mean that's as close as I can get to what I think you're
Yeah.
saying. There is that, and it's lovely. The problem for some of the fans, younger fans in particular, is that he's worked on so many different things during his career that you can't just say, well, there's that book and that's what made him a star. No, he was a star when he first put pen to paper or pencil to paper, and got better from there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can talk to 10 people and they're like, and you tell them Butch Geese and they're like, oh, Micronauts, or they'll say New Mutants, or they'll say X Factor, or they'll say Flash, or Doctor Strange, or Swashbucklers. There's so many things that people remember him for. I remember probably New Mutants was probably the first time I paid attention to him because he was using his birth name there. Um, and and I'm like, well, this is made up. And that's also why I didn't know how to pronounce his last name, because you know Jackson Juice. That's JJJJ. That's why it must be that. Um, but subsequently learned it was Geese, and he went back to his preferred name, which I think is using. I think you should use what you want to use. I'm listed as Bob, and that's how I want to be called. But I also talked to some friends. I talked to Rich Case, and I said, hey, because as I was doing this research, I said, did you left Doctor Strange for Doom Patrol? And he said, yeah. He said, and then as I asked him that question, he realized uh,
Yeah,
that, oh yeah, well, me leaving is immediately after is when Butch came on Doctor Strange and had a really long run on it. And he's like, and Richard said he never had a chance to meet him either, which is ironic. But it's real sad. Our guest last week, I know did a lot of work with them as well when they were at CrossGen, and I'm sure the community as a whole is saddened and hurting.
things came to a stop when we all heard that Butch had died. Now, that's appropriate. That's what it should be. But the number of stories that were unleashed is instantaneous and is still coming. The story that I have contributed to the Comics Journal asked me for one, and I guess it's up on their website. I haven't checked, but I know they're not holding it for the next issue because the next issue might not come out until the 27th century. But I think it's on their website, which is a very good website. There are certain characters that attract the best artists and then bring out the best in those artists. It's like, how can you do Doctor Strange? How can you do The Shadow? How can you do Judge Dredd? Look at all the great people that were there before you.
Sure.
And either you get intimidated by that and you walk away, or you turn out crap, or you rise to the challenge. And Butch always did that. If there was an omnibus of his stuff covering all of his different publishers, all of his different projects.
Well, you wouldn't be able to lift it.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true, but I can't lift most of those things anyway. It's you'd be amazed just how in his short life, 63 to me is a short life,
Sure.
because I beat that. But in his short life, he's had a lot of phenomenal assignments.
Sure.
Major characters and some original characters. And I was first attracted to his work, I think. He did covers for the Comics Buyer's Guide. And over on Facebook, Russ Maharis has printed a few of them. And Russ is the Comics Buyer's Guide archivist of our time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a lot of great covers there too. But that may be where I first saw Butch and Butch's work. And our medium, our art form, is not as good a place today as it was a couple of weeks ago when Butch was still with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks to everybody for letting us, talk about Butch, and we hope you go read something that he drew, because it was really great.